Well, good morning again, everyone. Welcome to our national webinar. So this webinar, Knowing the Community Whom We Are Called to Serve, is a first of a series of webinars that we're seeking to hold over the next few months through a few partners in the national scene. So today we are going to be obviously hearing all about particularly the social profiles, but before we get started, we just want to take you through a bit of the Zoom technology and find out a little bit about yourself. My name is Richard McMahon. I'm with the Diocese of Paramatta and I work as the Director of the Pastoral Planning Office, and I'm also grateful today for the assistance of two colleagues from our Chancery, Lisa Bright, who works in the pastoral planning as well, and Marissa Vanderhout. They're going to be helping with some IT and other things today. As we're arriving today, I invite us just to ensure that we're muted. So just on the bottom left of your screen, if you can click that mute feature. In terms of where we're going today, we want to ensure, first of all, that you have a comfortable experience and also a safe experience. And to do so, I invite you now to please pay attention to the front of the Zoom as we demonstrate some safety features. So let's just move to the next screen, please, Lisa. Okay, for those that arrived early, I'm just going over some points again, but these are pretty important. So if on the bottom left of your screen, you'll see the mute unmute feature. So this is particularly important since we've got about 150 people already with us, to please click that now to make sure that the red line is through it. If there's a red line already through it, you don't need to click it again. And that ensures that you are muted so that you can hear our main speakers today. Of course, if you go into a small group session, which will be offered, you can find that function again and click it once to unmute yourself. We also have on the right-hand side of your screen, there's the thumbs up and clap reaction. So you have to click that once and then you click the appropriate reaction and it will come up on your screen. You won't see that right now because I'm being spotlighted, but we'll demonstrate that in a second. When we ask you to do a thumbs up, you go to the bottom right and click that and you'll find the reaction. In the middle of the bottom of your screen, you see that there's a chat function there. This is your opportunity to pose questions and comments. We'll take a few of those questions during the session today, but also they'll be valuable to give feedback after the session to all our participants for those questions we don't get the chance to answer. And if we go to the next screen, we'll just stay there for a moment, Lisa. The participants there, if you're interested to see who else is here today, you can click on that, and that actually shows you the full list of those people who are participating in our webinar today. So if I can go to the next screen, please, Lisa. If you're using a mobile phone today, you might find the chat function a bit hidden and a few other features, but again, clicking, swiping is always helpful, and down the bottom right, those three dots take you to a few extra settings that might help, including that chat function. So that's a little bit about Zoom, and of course, in case of emergency, follow the dotted lines to the safety exits. So where we are going now, I might just take off the spotlight function, please, Lisa, if you can, for a moment, so we can see all the beautiful people. And if we can click on the top right, you might see a collection of 9 dots on your screen. If you click that, you can see gallery mode, which will enable you to see more people. And what we're going to ask you to do just for a moment is, firstly, in your chat function, if you can click that and just type in what parish and diocese that you are from today. So if you forgot where that was, it's at the bottom of your screen, and you can just click that in the middle of the bottom. It's like a little speech bubble. Might have a little number on it too. You click that once and people are now typing in lots of different places, and we've got someone there from New Zealand, so welcome from across the ditch today. Thanks for making the effort to join us, and it might be quite early in the morning there. I think it's about, what, 8 a.m. I think, or maybe 9 a.m. there, so welcome. And we have many people from many different parts of Australia, which is just wonderful. You can see Melbourne, I can see people from Wyong, Sale, it's going so quickly, to Toowoomba. So isn't this fantastic, just the richness of our church. The other thing that we're very interested in is just to get an indication of whether you have had the opportunity to watch a video that was emailed in advance of the session. I know some of you just registered this morning, so you haven't had that opportunity, but it's just helpful to our speakers today just to give a thumbs up, please. So that's on your bottom right reactions. If you can give a thumbs up if you've had a chance to actually watch the video. Okay, so you can see a scattering of thumbs. So I'm thinking it looks about maybe half or 3/4 of people have had the chance to do that. So thank you. I'm hoping you find that very enriching. And if you haven't watched that, you can still participate fully in this session. It's no assumed knowledge, you will not be tested. So the other thing that, as those thumbs have now gone down, we're just also asking you to do another thumbs up now if you have seen or read through your parish or diocesan profile. Have you looked at your parish or diocesan profile? Just thumbs up again. Thank you. Again, on the left and right of your screen too, which I'm doing now, you can scroll through the different screens that are here. We've got 150 people, so obviously Zoom can't fit them all, and I can see lots of thumbs going up there. So again, looks to be about maybe not as many, about half the people perhaps have had a chance to look at their profiles. Thank you very much for that. So this is terrific again to have everyone here. So welcome again. If you're just arriving to our national webinar, please mute yourself as you come in on the bottom left of your screen. So just as we formally begin things today, I'm going to invite Lisa Bright to offer us an acknowledgement of country. Thank you, Lisa.
Although we are meeting virtually, we continue to acknowledge the traditional custodians that have, for thousands of years, walked upon and cared for the lands upon which we are all individually located. We acknowledge the continued deep spiritual attachment and relationship of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples to this country and commit ourselves to the ongoing journey of reconciliation.
Let us continue in a spirit of prayer, centering ourselves in the love of our God and one another. We gather in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. And loving God, you call us into your communion of love, to love one another. And to love one another, we first need to know one another, to know the community whom we are called to serve. We pray that we can continue to increase our knowledge and awareness of our brothers and sisters, of all people, particularly those whom we seek to serve, in order to love them better. Make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. So welcome again. We know that people are still arriving. We've certainly got over, I think 160 people have now popped on board. We've got over, I think it was 227 at the last count people registered, but we did have a number of apologies as well today. As we begin, again, just if you don't know me, my name is Richard McMahon. I'm the Director of Pastoral Planning here in the Diocese of Paramatta, and assisted today by a couple of colleagues, Lisa Bright and Marissa Vanderhout, and thank you for their IT support. It's wonderful to have you all here. We also have our presenters that we'll be hearing from shortly from the National Centre for Pastoral Research. That's Trudy Dantas, the Centre Director, and Stephen Reid, the Senior Research Officer. We also are very grateful for the support today of the Missions Planners Network of Oceania. So that's the group of pastoral planners in New Zealand and Australia that worked together. And we also see there the Pastoral Ministry Network in New South Wales, formerly known as NAPA, that's supporting this today, and our team here, of course, in the Diocese of Paramatta. And so we're all very grateful for the opportunity to host this webinar. A reminder that this is being recorded today, as was stated in the registration and follow-up email. So we're going to just, as we begin today, just very briefly move you into small groups. Lisa's going to just pop now into the chat a question. And the question is to just really introduce yourself first and foremost to the few people that you find there, and share briefly a way that you can know the community you're called to serve, either through reference to the video, if you've seen it, or through your own local efforts. We've only got about a minute for each for this because it's 4 minutes. The rooms are opening up now, so just click join and at least have a chance to say hi to people. Thank you. If you're having trouble joining a room, you just click the join button that will take you into your room. Terrific. Most people have found their way through. Again, if you're not sure, if you can't find your way there, please, if you might need to click something on your computer there, and it's usually you move your mouse and click the join breakout room invitation. Some people have just arriving onto so welcome to a webinar where most of us have gone into breakout rooms. We'll ask our IT specialists if they can assign people that have just arrived. You're most welcome. Thank you for being with us today. That's terrific. Thank you for joining us. And there's a few people that are finding it a bit difficult perhaps to find their way to the breakout room. That's absolutely fine. We will try and help you as best we can through the support. So Lisa might talk to a few of those people there, or we might be just helping them. Any other advice you want to give, Lisa, at this stage to help people find their way to the breakout room?
Just if you might not be able to see the join button, so you might want to click on the little video button at the bottom of your screen, and that should come up with something and enable you to join the rooms.
Don't worry too much if you can't get there. You're in lovely exalted company with the rest of us here. We're in your exalted company. And I think those rooms are closing very shortly, Lisa, is that correct?
Yes, so...
sorry, I'm in now.
Welcome.
Hi, sorry.
You're all right. Good to have you with us.
I was on as someone else and then I just found my log on.
That's terrific. I'm really glad you could make it. Most of us have just gone off for a little chat in small groups, but they're coming back to us shortly. So we might start inviting them back, Lisa, in another minute or so.
Yeah, and we just will, some people were dropping in and out, so some people ended up in a room by themselves, unfortunately, it seemed. I'll just mute people there. Okay. I'll close those rooms now.
Fantastic. Good morning and welcome. If you're just arriving, we'll just ask you to mute yourself on the bottom left of your screen. It's terrific to have you with us here today. And now everyone's arriving back. We've only had a very short time for that chat, of course, so I hope you at least got to say hi.
Yep.
It's welcoming people back. As you're coming back, you might now remind yourselves just to mute yourself. Obviously, you only had a couple of minutes there as a quick hello. Just waiting for the rest of the people to come back. Some people close their rooms straight away. You don't have to do that. You've got 60 seconds warning. So some people are using every single second as use their last comments that they're wanting to make. But if you have arrived back with us, just remind yourselves now to mute again. So you will
irritating things.
Mute on the bottom left of your screen. Yes, Cecilia? Okay, terrific. We've got everyone back now. Welcome back. We just ask you to mute as you return. That's on the bottom left of your screen. If you can click your mute button, and IT will assist you with that. And now that everyone's back, just you might wish to, at some stage, to start using the chat function to put some questions in. Elisa and Marissa will be monitoring those questions as we go, or you have comments, and we'll try to pick up on some of them during our time together. But now I'm going to ask if Lisa can spotlight again, please. And we're just going to move across to our first speaker, which is Trudy Dantas from the National Centre for Pastoral Research, the Centre Director. And Trudy, well, thank you so much for you and for Stephen for all the work that you do at the centre, but particularly for the video that many of us have had the chance to watch. If you haven't had the chance to watch a video, that's absolutely fine. But from the video itself and just more broadly, one of the things that I think we're particularly interested out is just the national trends for Catholics in Australia. So what are some of the things that have stood out for you as you've been collecting this data?
Thanks, Richard, and good morning, everyone. It's lovely to be with you all this morning. So here, Richard, looking at national trends, we're definitely seeing some trends emerging specifically from the 2016 census data. And the most predominant one is related to the Catholic population. I might ask Lisa to put up that slide, if she can, about the Catholic population. And while that's coming up, I'll just talk through it. You can see that's up there now. So that slide is of the Catholic population in Australia from 1911 to 2016. And you can see for a long time, we've had a really enviable trend. You know, it's an upward trend. A lot of countries worldwide have had a decline, but we've had growth for a very long time. So right up until 2011, when the growth peaked, we were 5.4 million Catholics in 2011. And a lot of that growth was due to immigration, but also due to the natural growth of the Australian-born Catholic population. And we thought that trend would continue and we were expecting it to keep rising. However, in 2016, for the first time in the 105-year history of the Catholic Church in Australia, we saw the numbers drop. Now you might ask why? Why did that happen? Well, we know in the last decade we've had the Royal Commission and the clergy sex abuse crisis, so that might have contributed to that decline. We've seen a lot of disaffiliation over many age groups as we were tracking these trends. But also, if you've seen the video, you'd see Stephen Reed spoke about the change in the religion question in the 2016 census. So what happened was that within the question, the no religion option went from the bottom of the list to right to the top of the list. So we think that might have contributed as well to that sudden decline from 2011 to 2016. So that's one of the trends. There's also some other trends happening. And Lisa, if you could move on to the next slide. That shows you the situation as it is in 2016. That's the snapshot taken, the national snapshot. We are 5.2 million Catholics, and we make up 22.6% of the total population, and our median age is 40 years. And you can see on your right-hand side of the slide there, it's comparing our situation now to 20 years ago. We're decreasing in Catholic identification. That's because of that drop I just showed you in the previous chart. But we're also an aging population. And so currently our median age is 40 years, but 20 years ago, our median age was 33 years. We were a much younger population then. So we are aging now. We're also better educated. Many more of adults age 15 and over have a university degree. So we know that's increasing. And particularly in that regard are the number of women with a university degree. So 20 years ago, both men and women, the same percentage of men and women had a university degree, which was about 9.6%. But in 2016, many more women, nearly 23% of them, have a university degree as compared to the men, which is about 17%. So that's a new change that's happening. And the other one is we're increasingly multicultural. So many more immigrants coming in from different countries, and previously in the past, a lot of you would have experienced this in your communities. You had immigrants coming in from countries such as the UK, Italy, India. Those were the common migrants. But the newer migrants are coming in from places such as Brazil and Congo and Sudan. And so we're increasingly getting a lot of people from different countries within our community.
Thank you so much, Trudy. That's fascinating, and it's a wonderful just that what we can do in terms of finding out so much information. I can see that there's some people asking where they can access this data. The video, of course, gave us that information, and we can share a little bit about that at the end. But just to maybe go on from there, I suppose the question that comes to mind for me is, well, there's so much data there. Like, how do we start going about doing something with all that? And maybe Stephen Reed, at this point, if I can get your wisdom on this. So Stephen, if you're just joining us, is also from the National Centre. He's a Senior Research Officer. Good morning to you, Stephen. And in the video, you mentioned about pastoral planning, something dear to my heart. But can you expand on what this is and how that might assist us in unpacking some of this data that Trudy's just been talking about?
Yeah, well, I think pastoral planning foremost is about people, but I like the theological understanding put forward about 20 years ago by a colleague, Brian Cusson. He suggests that pastoral planning has imagining the future at its heart, and Brian uses three simple guiding questions around that. He says, firstly, where are we right now? That is, we need to understand our own situation. Secondly, he says, where do we want to be? So looks at the vision. What is the vision we have for the parish? And thirdly, how are we going to get there? That is, I suppose, what are the goals and the strategies are we going to use and put into place to achieve what our vision may become? And of course, part of that is also in pastoral planning. There's an evaluation process involved with that. So it's rather cyclical in nature. You don't ever get to an end of a pastoral planning process. So I like Brian's reflection on that. I think it's very helpful.
No, that's terrific, Stephen. So it gives us a bit of an insight that obviously there's a process involved. There's a bit of, I suppose, a regimen to that. You know, it takes us through a few key steps. One of the things I like about this is see, judge, act is, I suppose, the other thing I've come across in my journey, and that we need to see, first of all, the data that's available in order to judge or discern, and then to act upon it. And we have these problems sometimes within a community. I remember one community, they were so keen to do something for their youth, and it was only until they saw their own data that they realised they mainly had an ageing population, and so they started to redirect their pastoral efforts more in that direction, while of course still seeking to evangelise the youth. So it is very important. And I suppose just on that point, we talked about the what of pastoral planning and how that can help. But Stephen, you know, in the parish setting or other settings, what's this pastoral planning team look like? What sort of people have you experienced as being involved with planning or unpacking this data?
Yeah, thanks, Richard. Linking it to the profiles, I think the profiles, the census data have been designed so that they're easily accessible, understandable, and of course interesting for anyone, but they're particularly useful for parish leaders, for parish councils, for ministry groups, or really anyone who is involved in planning within their parish, or even anyone that wants to know more about the people within their local community. I think that's what the profiles offer and was designed to do.
Terrific. And Trudy, anything you'd like to add there in terms of the people you've experienced in accessing this data, or some of the conversations, how the type of people that are trying to make use of all this?
Sure, Richard. I think a lot of parish priests would use this data, and it's particularly good for them when they're moving from one community to another. You know, you want to know what the new parish is like, and we know that parishes look so different. I mean, I was talking about national trends earlier, but in some parishes, if you look at their context, their situation might be completely different to the national trend. So while we're seeing a decline, for example, from 2011 to 2016, well, some parishes might have grown in that time, particularly if you're an outer suburban parish in a city and you have, say, newer housing developments, your parish would have seen a large increase within that 5-year period. You may also be an amalgamated parish, or parish that's been twinned with another parish, and you'll see different changes then as well. So these are occasions, I think, for planning, but not as Stephen mentioned, not just parish priests, it's the parish council as well, who at opportune times in the the parish, we know the parish vitality, it ebbs and grows and changes over time. So there are opportune moments for planning that naturally occur. But also the information is easy to read, and that's particularly because it's meant for, like Stephen said, anyone. It's any parishioner, it's your parish secretary, maybe the secretary of your school, the school community as well, because they need to know how they are situated within the larger parish community. We know that, when we talk about parishes, it's not just the worshipping community we're speaking of. It's the entire community and the schools there as well. So really anyone who is interested in the parish and knowing their community can access the profiles.
Fantastic. And maybe just to interrupt you there, because I suppose what then occurs to me is that I might still get all that data, and I might and I've even watched your amazing video, which is very clear in terms of what it says, but you still might want a bit more information or support. And you mentioned at the end of the video that offer is there. What does that look like? Say, would I ring you? How do I get in contact, and what happens when I do?
Sure. So we're offering a range of ideas, a range of options to parishes and dioceses this year. One of them is to have us present their profile to the community. So in the past, we've gone to a diocese or gone to a parish and presented their profile to them, so help them break through it and work through different sections as well. That's one option. But this year we're also offering parishes an extended profile. What's an extended profile? Well, Lisa, if you could put up that slide for me, and that just gives you an idea of some of those elements in an extended profile. So like I mentioned in the video as well, an extended profile brings together data from different data sources. So it's the data that we've got from the census, but it's also combining it with mass attendance data of that parish. And also if they've participated in the National Church Life Survey, we bring in that information as well. Now, the parish profiles that were created, they've got the tables and the graphs that are customized to each parish, but the commentary on each page is generic commentary. And so what we're offering in the extended profile then is a customized commentary for that particular parish. And also the tables and graphs in that are detailed. So for example, you can have age and sex charts of your Catholic population and compare that with the age and sex chart of your mass attenders, which we know will look very different. And when we compare those two sets of information, you might find your mass attenders are better educated, they're more multicultural, and they have a better education rate. Those are generally the trends that we see overall. But how does that look in your parish? This extended profile gives you the opportunity to look at that in greater detail.
Wow. Okay, that's fantastic. So there's a lot of information there and a lot of support there too, and you can see just how useful that is. What we're going to do now in a moment, we're just going to go to chat again just for 7 minutes. This is an opportunity again just to say hi to a few people. So please introduce yourself. Lisa's just going to pop some questions into the chat now. So we might ask other people to stop asking their questions just for the moment while we can see what Lisa pops in. Particularly, it's just what you've heard, what you might be finding helpful, and what questions you have can stimulate a bit of conversation. So about 7 minutes for that. And when we come back, we'll hear a couple more people on the ground and start taking some of your questions. So thanks, Lisa. We'll open those rooms now for people. So please, as you'll see that it pops up on your screen, you just click join. Don't forget to introduce yourself and unmute, and just particularly any reactions, questions that you have, but if you can join those rooms now. People still finding their way to the room, which is fantastic. So just click on that join breakout room and you hopefully will find your way there. Almost everybody's found their way into the little breakout room. If you're still experiencing some trouble, don't worry about it too much. It's only, of course, a few minutes for that conversation. Just try if you can. You find the little symbol that says join breakout room. It's usually a box that pops up. Maybe Lisa can also just check to make sure people have been assigned, because some people, of course, have entered the chat late. Thanks, Lisa. How you going there, Ian? You look like you're very keen to get into a breakout room, but you probably can't just find the button that you need. You can put yourself off mute there for a moment if you like. How you going, Beverly? You finding it a bit hard to get into the room, or you can put yourself off mute there if you can?
Unmute, that's mute.
Welcome, Beverly. That's fantastic. Where are you from, Beverly?
Archdiocese of Perth, Parish of
welcome.
Bateman.
That's terrific. And yeah, we obviously, I hope you're enjoying our webinar today.
Very informative so far, very informative.
That's terrific. We've got a few people popping in and out, we can see. So if you're just arriving, we're going to try to assign you to a breakout room. We've got a few more people here than there's about 150 people, but you can't see us all if you've just arrived, because we've sent everyone off into virtual breakout rooms to have a little conversation. If you can't find your way there, don't worry. You're in the lovely company of us who didn't go to a breakout room. And so we're just happy to have a bit of a conversation here with you. So maybe, Beverly, is there any, did you want to just share briefly a thought or two about, have you got a question that's come up for you, or something that we could hear from at least?
I have no specific question, but I'm very interested in developing the parish, keeping in touch with people. And we have now ageing community, but just keep developing, building the community.
Okay.
I'm on the liturgy committee. I'm not on the parish pastoral council, but just want to do something to keep building the community.
Good on you. Yeah, and I love your passion. So that's something we can think about. I think we could answer that question in terms of how we could really make our communities shine. That would be fantastic, but we'll see what we can do perhaps when we go back. Maybe if I can put you on mute again now, please, Beverly.
If I can.
Obviously, our IT can help you with that. Marissa is here helping, so she can put you on mute if you get stuck. Maybe Joan, is it just while you're there, if you wanted to say hi to us, or Ian, if you're able to unmute? Just usually down on the bottom left, you might have a tablet or a something else, another feature there that might make it a bit difficult for you to find those buttons I'm talking about. But you usually scroll down with your mouse if you've got one, or touch near the bottom of the screen if you've got a touchpad, and you can see something pop up, and it's usually the bottom left. You'll see something that says mute. Otherwise, we can ask you to unmute too. Joan, are you able to do that at all if you wanted to have a chat with us? It's a bit sad you've come all this way and we can't hear you. Oh, Joan's able to say hi. Hi, Joan, where are you from? Hi, Joan, can you hear me? Joan can't seem to hear. That's no good for Joan. Okay, Joan? No? Okay, she's put herself off mute but can't hear us. All right, well, we'll, bit of a challenge sometimes. Ian, I can see, is working hard with whoever else is with him. Got about 3 minutes wait before the others come back. Perhaps one of the things, Beverly, I'm just, and this might be interesting for others, but I don't know if you're part of a parish pastoral council yourself, are you? Are you part of the council in your own parish? You're not? Okay. So one thing is, as Stephen was saying earlier, yeah, I can see the questions, Lisa, thanks. That one of the things we're saying earlier is it's really important for a community, if it starts wanting to build itself up, who's the group that's working with the pastor? The pastor, of course, is called to serve with the community, but then sometimes it's an intentional group like a pastoral council, and they're being encouraged, even this year, they're encouraged more and more to have a group of representatives that work with the pastor. The other thing is that we sometimes will have, if you can even have a little planning team, or your finance committee might be doing some of this work. So it's important to get a group together first and foremost if we're going to be doing any work on building community. That's the things that certainly I've found, the parishes that I've worked with, because it's just too much for one person. And by getting a group together, what we're starting to do too is to listen to really the gifts, the energies, the skills of people within our community space. So it's a terrific opportunity, just first and foremost. Maybe that's a little first step for you, Beverly, just to talk about with the Pastoral Council and see where they're up to. Have they got this information, for instance, and how that might assist them in starting to build community. But there's plenty of other resources that can help too. We'll just check in. Welcome. I can see Father Wally. You might have just arrived, or had you dropped out, Father Wally? Or have you just, where are you?
Yeah.
Sorry, say that again. Oh, you just finished Mass. Oh, well, you're most welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name's Richard McMahon from Paramatta Diocese, facilitating today. I can see perhaps on your screen there, Trudy Dantas and Stephen Reid from the National Centre for Pastoral Research. Most people have actually, they're all here, but they've all wandered off into little breakout rooms at the moment. So they're coming back very shortly. And so we won't send you off anywhere right now, but you can stay with us. We're about halfway through our time together, or a bit over that. And so we've just been hearing from Trudy and from Stephen. And they've got that video resource, Father Wally, too, that would be wonderful if you get the chance to look at that, and we'll give you the link. And obviously everything that happened in this session we'll be able to share with you too, because you registered today. So thank you for popping in even a bit later in the piece, but you're most welcome to be with us. Fantastic. I think people may be beginning to arrive back. So we welcome everyone has arrived back. So welcome everyone. I hope that was a good chat for you, an opportunity to meet new people. Again, if we can use the question function, please. And we might just ask Lisa now to ensure that some of those questions are being directed to Trudy and Stephen. But if you can please put some questions and comments into the chat. Anything we don't cover today, we'll try to catch up with after this presentation. But now I think as we go forward, again, reminding us just to please mute if we've just returned to ensure that we can hear a couple of speakers. And I'm going to cross now to Father Gregory Jacobs from Mount Druitt Parish. He's a Jesuit there, parish priest in the Diocese of Paramatta. And just to share how he's been bringing those parish social profiles to life with his community. So Gregory, welcome, and let's hear what you have to say.
So, hello everyone. So I'm a bit of a math science person, is my background. So I've been actually looking at these statistics for a couple of years now. And you can go back, I think, in the NCPR website and look at those past profiles. And for me, it's helped me to both look at my own parish and my neighbouring parishes and see what they're like. And that gives me a bit of a sense of how I'm different or the same to my neighbouring parishes. But also being a Jesuit, I've also done that for the various Jesuit parishes around Australia and looking at how they're different or similar. Some of that then has helped me to really go a little bit deeper then into my own parish and the demographics that we share, and then to start to look at that with the parish council and the ways that we can bring out some of that information. For instance, Mount Druitt in Western Sydney, where I am, has the highest Aboriginal population, but we're not necessarily seeing all of them come to Mass. But also those born overseas, we've got a much higher demographic of those who haven't been to higher education, and a very high number of blue-collar workers. And so just then the way that as parish priest that I talk to my community, I can't use the same language that I would at maybe some of my other Jesuit parishes because of that demographic profile. So again, or the number of overseas people that we have who don't have English as a first language. Some of those sorts of things has helped me to give, a bit of impetus, but also a bit of sense of where do I go for outreach into some of my wider community that live around here, but I don't see come, and participate in my parish community. So some of those sorts of things have helped me and my leadership team in building a profile and building some of the work that we then want to do in our wider parish community.
That's terrific. So what I'm hearing you saying, you're using the data not just for its own sake, but you've got a particular vision and plan. I know I've been working with you there, forming missionary disciples, whatever language we want to use. But it's important that the very people that you're seeking to serve. And you've also your pastoral council there, Gregory, that they've been engaged with this as well. Is that right?
Yes, that's certainly right. And again, the deeper that we go into it with the parish council, then the more that they understand. And as one of the ways I'm trying to work is to get the parish council going out to the community just as much as I'm out into the community. And so again, because some of those are from some of those cultural backgrounds, and so they, can speak that language in a different way to them that I can't always do. And so that helps to, as I said, reach out and to engage and find some of those groups that aren't, and again, as others have said as well, that again, because the parish is wider than just those who are coming to Mass. Sure. I'm part of a very quite a large parish site here with many different things that happen. And so we have other ways of reaching people than just those who are coming inside our church door.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrific. Well, it's great to just hear an on-the-ground experience. So thank you very much, and all the best for your continued efforts there to reach out beyond just those that are engaging at Mass on a Sunday to that broader community that is with you. We might just take one of the many questions that are coming through from the people here. So one of them is, Trudy, you might like to answer this. What do you think of the impact the plenary will be having on the next census? You got any idea how that might change things? We know you've been doing a lot of work with the plenary too.
Well, that's interesting, Richard. And really, I don't have an answer for that. I don't like to guess what the future might be like, because often enough, it turns out to be quite different than what I said. So, but yeah, it's interesting because the plenary, we know for sure that it's brought people together. A lot more people are discussing issues regarding their parish and their diocese and the church and their community. And that's a really good thing. And that's, I think, that's a great advantage that this plenary has brought just down to the grassroots levels. So more and more people are getting involved than ever before. But also we're going through this whole coronavirus situation at the same time. And we know, our ways of attending Mass have changed during this time. So whether that will bring people in and we'll see greater engagement in the parish, or whether there's going to be people dropping out, that's something really we have to wait till next year to see. So not too long now, but it'll be interesting to look at the changes and see how things have shifted over this period.
Sure, and I think probably related to that too is the flip side of that question is that the plenary itself can benefit from this data, so that if people are wanting to discuss, wanting to, to look at how they're responding, or at least to listen to what the Spirit is saying, then it's certainly listening to the movements of demographics, the movement of people is very important for the discussions that we're having at the moment. What we might do is go to just someone else out there. This time we'll move to Sophie Morley, who's the Diocesan Coordinator for Liturgy and Pastoral Ministry in the Diocese of Sale, and a great colleague of mine, to share how she has been using the Parish Social Profiles with her diocese. So thank you, Sophie, welcome, and let's hear what you have to say.
Oh, hello everyone. It's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me to speak. First of all, I want to say thank you to Trudy and Stephen for a terrific video, that introductory video on Parish Pastoral Social Profiles. I think that's something that parishes can have in their toolkit, definitely to introduce that to their leadership team. So one of the first things that struck me was that, going back to Pope Francis wants us to be a mission-oriented church, and these Parish Social Profiles give us an opportunity to study the community that is beyond the Mass-going community. I keep thinking about the ones who we come to Mass, and we will know them pretty well, I think, from our own parishes. But the big thing for me is who's out there. We're called to actually look outwards, and we might never see those people, but that doesn't stop us being a mission-oriented church. And I think this helps us in our discipleship in that mission. So it encourages us to have a wider scope. I think the beauty of these profiles is that they're so easily accessible. To me, there's not much excuse anymore for not being able to engage them in section at a time. With the diocese, I think it gives us, as a diocesan team, an appreciation of the diversity of our Catholic community, who's the local church. And I think every diocese needs this awareness to engage in mission planning, so that we can best serve our community and vision for the future. And of course, the plenary will help us with that as well. But our diocese had a diocesan assembly last year, a wonderful assembly. And I'm just thinking how well this sort of sits in with the things that were discussed at the assembly and the things that we would like to go forward with. The other thing that I think is good in the diocesan setting is to send these things to Catholic education. And there's a lot of really pertinent information there for schools. So my role in the diocese is to support and assist parishes in their mission planning, and a way of supporting and developing pastoral councils and leadership teams is to take them through the parish social profiles, so they understand a little bit better the community that they're serving. One of the things that's really struck me from this particular set of figures is the mobility of our Catholic population, and particularly for our large multicultural parishes who are on the suburban fringe of Melbourne. So some of those things, the data has been unexpected in some respects, but I think, just summing up, I think for the diocese, it's really important for us to know who we're serving. It's important for us as a diocese to actually assist our parishes, not only our clergy, of course, but our lay leaders, our pastoral team together, so they can be a more mission-oriented church. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks so much for that, Sophie, and so much going on there in Sale, which is terrific, including that diocesan assembly. So again, bringing broader circles of people together to discern and plan across parishes, across communities. One of the challenges that's coming up, and it's particularly being noted in the questions, is the school parish dynamic. There's always that call for stronger relationships between perhaps our local primary schools, if we have one, and the the local parish. And so just Trudy or Stephen, would either of you like just to comment on how you see this data assisting with that, or perhaps if you've seen it come to life in some way with the support of both schools and parishes? We'll speak a little bit more into that space of education or even health. I can see a question that's come up there, those that are involved in healthcare as well.
I think, Richard, one of the important things, as people have mentioned, is bringing the school community into these discussions at a parish level. And that's really important. And I speak from experience of one parish here in Canberra, where we did just that. So when we presented the profile, we presented it to the school leadership team, along with the leaders of the different groups in the parish. And what that did is, together we planned as a community, both school and parish, what our priorities were for the next 2 years. And then the different groups in the parish, so the St. Vincent de Paul group, the welcoming committee, the finance team, all of us work together to see what's the one priority we work on through the year. And that was actually linking with the school. And so each group then had to individually think about how they might create a bridge between what they were doing in the parish to the school. And in some cases, that just might be things like, offering programs for the parents of the school children, making sure that when the school kids do turn up to Mass on Sunday, there's a welcoming committee and there's someone to look after people who may be new to Mass or the whole concept of Mass, or, the entire experience of a sacramental Mass as well. So little things like that. It's really important to get those two groups involved in planning together if you want to benefit the entire community.
That's amazing. And some of those things that you've just started mentioning, a couple of ideas, and I can see people getting very excited to hear about those ideas. And so it might be worthwhile exploring that a little bit, because on your video, you talked about what the data can't do. So the data can't obviously tell us why people are leaving, or I suppose how we can, what strategies we can do to bring people back if we're using that sort of language, but probably more stronger language is how do we go out and serve and to animate and accompany one another on the journey. So I know that you have other resources such as building stronger parishes, and you're very involved with that, Trudy. But can you just maybe comment on what the data can't do, and perhaps what some other supports that are therefore available?
Sure. So Richard, what the data doesn't do, what the profiles don't do rather, to be more specific, is tell us about Mass attenders, what their attitudes and beliefs are, what their age and sex profile is, so on and so forth. And one of the other research projects that does that is the National Church Life Survey. So if your parish has participated in the National Church Life Survey, you would have received a report of your parish from NCLS Research, the organization that conducts that survey, and that will tell you about Mass attenders and their growth in faith and their reactions to leadership in the parish and so on and so forth. But what we offer is, if you do ask us to do an extended profile for you, and that's at a small cost, we might put it together so you can actually see the differences really clearly. And that's what brings it to life for a lot of parishes.
Fantastic. So it's great to hear there's other resources and ways to start getting that qualitative, I suppose, responses about the whys, and that can get us a bit deeper. And the question has come up again on the chat, so we might just cross to Stephen, and this will probably be our last question we can respond to, which is just the purpose of pastoral planning. All this was mentioned right in your video, and it's so can you say anything more why pastoral planning is just so important, and a bit of conflict of interest. It's up there on my screen, pastoral planning, but if you can just share a little bit more about that for us, Stephen, the value of that in this.
Yeah, just a nice, simple question to open up. Yeah, I mean, it can go quite deep, and I think part of it is a theological understanding, obviously, but, and I get back to my original comment about, it's about people, understanding people, and understanding what church is and why church is as well. What is the mission? How do we see our mission? How does a parish leadership team, parish council understand our mission. And you can't really plan that mission unless you understand the context of it. So I see it's all intertwined. I don't see any, I'm not going to give you any answers because I don't have any clear answers. It will come back to your own context. And what this office does, and part of this webinar is, the reason behind it is being able to offer the tools so you can delve in and try and answer your own questions within your own context. We don't have the answers necessarily, but we do have the tools that we can distribute and help you explore the big questions. And hopefully that means that cyclical nature of pastoral planning, evaluate where you are on that cycle as well. So sorry if you were wondering or you were wanting an answer, but yeah, there are just some of the reflections that I'll offer to you.
Thank you. Look, thank you so much to Trudy and to Stephen for all that you've offered us today and all the great work that you do through your office and with these profiles and for their availability. I think that just perhaps in terms of expanding a little bit on what Stephen has shared there, it puts me in mind of that so much of what we see Jesus Christ do in the Gospels is encounter. He simply encounters people one after another. And how many stories to remember? The woman at the well, the woman caught in adultery, Nicodemus sneaking in. And each time it's about knowing them. He listens, he knows them. And I think that's so much of what we've been hearing here today about the importance of knowing our people, knowing the community we're called to serve. These profiles give us an excellent opportunity to know them deeper. It's not the end of the story, because then we go on mission to continue to encounter one another and draw more and more people into that conversation so we can journey together towards that beautiful kingdom, that reign that Jesus invites us all into. So I think it's exciting. I think it's wonderful that we have this information at our fingertips. And I'm going to ask Lisa now just to pop up some screens so we can see where some more support is available. Again, this you'll get some information after this, so you don't have to scurry and write all this down now. But you can see there that if you're wondering, I haven't got my profile, I don't know what we're talking about today, we will give you again links to that after this session, and you can see that you can contact the office for more information too. There's also a newsletter that they provide with all sorts of exciting things, and you can see there's some links there that take you back to the video. And on the next screen, let's have a look. So today we also just want to, besides thanking everyone for your participation today, just to be, we're grateful so much for some other groups that are really working in this space. So the Pastoral Ministry Network, you'll see there, used to be called NAPA. It's a New South Wales based group of pastors, pastoral associates, parish workers, people in the diocese that are really working in this space together across communities, across dioceses. The Missions Planners Network of Oceania seeks to do this across the ditch, and we've got some of our New Zealand neighbours with us today, so welcome. And but we see that importance of sharing wisdom in the planning field as well. We also, of course, the National Centre, which are our main speakers today, have far many other things other than the profile, so please go and explore their space, including that thing on building stronger parishes. And the Diocese of Paramatta, I thank my colleagues for their work behind the scenes in bringing to life this webinar today too. And just on our next slide, you'll just see there's a few things that we want to be looking out for. We're going to give you a short feedback survey after this. We'd love to get your feedback about this webinar and just how the experience has been for you. Obviously, we're going to give those resources to you. The accompany this webinar and this recording too will be made available. And we'll have another webinar coming up, we're hoping on the 20th of October. So pen that in now. We'll look to the same time if we can. And that'll be exploring, it really begs the question, who's doing this work? Who's doing this work in our communities? Who's bringing it to life? So we'll be exploring that question a bit more next time in terms of parish leadership teams, pastoral councils, the work that might be happening between schools and communities. So how we can bring that to life and support those people more. So that's going to be part of our theme of our next webinar. So we simply want to thank you all so much for your time today. All those extra questions that have come through, I think Trudy and Stephen are going to be very busy trying to answer them in a little sort of FAQ that we'll try and put out to you. But thank you so much for your time today. God bless you, and let's continue on that path of knowing who we're called to serve so that we can love them more dearly and follow them more nearly as we seek to accompany people with Jesus Christ and one another. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day. God bless.